A gifted curse. The priceless pen, too. As Francisco's pen danced across the pages, it summoned forth the intricate details of the spirit trapped within the malevolent pen. He described it as a shadowy figure, cloaked in darkness and shrouded in whispers of ancient despair. Its eyes burned with a fierce intensity, its gaze piercing through the veil of reality to lay bare the souls of those it sought to ensnare. In the dimly lit confines of his study, Francisco set to work, his pen flying across the pages with a frenetic energy born of urgency. Every detail, every nuance of the pen's dark history spilled forth from his mind onto the paper, as if guided by an unseen hand. He chronicled the pen's origins, the bitter artisan consumed by rage and betrayal, the curse he wrought upon it in a fit of vengeance. He delved into the depths of its malevolence, tracing its path through the annals of history, leaving a trail of chaos and destruction in its wake. But Francisco did not stop there. With each stroke of his pen, he unveiled the secrets of those who had fallen under the pen's sway, their desires, their fears, their darkest secrets laid bare for all to see. He spared no detail, no shred of dignity, as he exposed the truth behind the pen's reign of terror. And then, as the final chapter of his tale unfolded, Francisco turned his attention to the pen itself, the sentient spirit that lay trapped within its ink. With a trembling hand, he described its torment, its hunger for vengeance, its twisted sense of justice that had driven it to madness. But even as he laid bare the pen's darkest secrets, Francisco knew that his task was far from over. For the pen's curse still lingered, its influence reaching out like a shadowy specter, threatening to consume all who dared to defy it. And so, armed with the knowledge he had uncovered, Francisco embarked on a final quest, a journey into the heart of darkness, where the pen's true power lay hidden. With every word he wrote, he chipped away at the walls that bound it, weakening its hold on the world with each passing moment. The spirit, Francisco wrote, was born from the ashes of betrayal, a once mortal artisan consumed by the flames of vengeance. Bound to the pen through a twisted ritual of his own making, he had imbued it with his essence, a malevolent force fueled by centuries of bitterness and resentment. But the spirit was not alone in its quest for retribution. Francisco chronicled the lives of those who had fallen under its sway, their desires twisted by the pen's influence into instruments of destruction. Henri, the once promising artist consumed by jealousy, found himself trapped in a nightmare of his own making. His paintings, once celebrated for their beauty, now bore the mark of his descent into madness, each stroke of his brush a testament to the darkness that had consumed his soul. Marie, the young woman driven by greed and ambition, faced a reckoning of her own as her world crumbled around her. The riches she had sought were nothing but fool's gold, a hollow promise that left her empty and alone. And Philippe, the nobleman blinded by ambition, found himself torn between the power he craved and the cost of his desires. In his quest for dominance, he had sacrificed everything he held dear, his legacy tarnished by the stain of his own greed. But amidst the despair, there was a glimmer of hope, a spark of defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. As Francisco chronicled the struggles of those touched by the pen's curse, he began to see a pattern emerging, a pattern of resilience and strength in the face of adversity. With each word he wrote, Francisco chipped away at the pen's hold on the world, weakening its influence with every stroke of his pen. And as the final chapter of his tale came to a close, he felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that he had done what he set out to do, to expose the pen's true nature and break its curse once and for all. But even as he closed the pages of his manuscript, Francisco knew that his journey was far from over. For though the pen's power had been broken, its legacy would linger on in the hearts and minds of those who had been touched by its darkness. And so, armed with the knowledge he had gained and the lessons he had learned, Francisco set out into the world, determined to ensure that the pen's reign of terror would never again darken the lives of those he loved. For though the shadows may linger, they could never extinguish the light of truth that burned within his heart. With a deep breath, Francisco gathered his resolve and set out into the streets of Paris, the city alive with the hum of activity. His destination lay clear in his mind, a small bookstore tucked away in a quiet corner of the city, its shelves lined with volumes of forgotten lore and ancient tomes. As he stepped through the door, a bell tinkled softly overhead, announcing his arrival. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and ink, the shelves groaning beneath the weight of centuries-old knowledge. At the counter stood a wizened old man, his eyes twinkling with a hint of mischief as he regarded Francisco with a knowing smile.
"Ah, Monsieur Francisco,"
the old man said, his voice rich with warmth and wisdom.
"I have been expecting you. Surprised."
Francisco took a step back, his heart pounding in his chest. "How did you know my name?" The old man chuckled softly, his eyes crinkling with amusement.
"I know many things, my dear boy, but that is a tale for another time. Tell me, what brings you to my humble establishment?"
Taking a deep breath, Francisco reached into his bag and withdrew a worn manuscript, its pages dog-eared and stained with ink. "I have come seeking answers," he said, his voice steady despite the nervous fluttering in his stomach. "Answers about a pen that wields a power beyond comprehension." The old man's eyes widened in recognition as he took the manuscript from Francisco's outstretched hands, his fingers tracing the faded words upon its pages.
"Ah, the malevolent pen,"
he murmured, his voice barely more than a whisper.
"A relic of ancient power, forged in the fires of betrayal and imbued with the essence of darkness."
Francisco nodded, his gaze fixed on the old man's face. "Do you know of its origins? Its purpose?" The old man's lips curved into a knowing smile as he placed the manuscript back on the counter.
"I know more than most, my dear boy. But first, you must answer me this. Why do you seek to uncover the secrets of the pen? What drives you to risk your very soul in pursuit of the truth?"
For a moment, Francisco hesitated, the weight of the old man's words pressing down upon him like a leaden weight. But then, with a steely resolve, he met the old man's gaze and spoke from the depths of his heart. "I seek redemption," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "Redemption for myself and for those whose lives have been touched by the pen's curse. I seek to break the cycle of darkness and despair, to bring light to the shadows and hope to the hopeless." The old man nodded slowly, his eyes gleaming with approval.
"Very well, Monsieur Francisco. Your quest is a noble one, and I shall aid you in any way that I can. But know this, the path you tread is fraught with peril, and the forces arrayed against you are formidable indeed. Are you prepared to face the trials that lie ahead?"
Without hesitation, Francisco nodded, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. "I am ready," he said, his voice echoing in the dimly lit bookstore. "Ready to confront the darkness and emerge victorious. Ready to bring an end to the reign of the malevolent pen, once and for all." And with those words, Francisco's journey began, a journey into the heart of darkness, where the pen's true power lay hidden, waiting to be uncovered. But little did he know of the trials and tribulations that awaited him, or of the sacrifices he would be called upon to make in the name of justice and redemption. But one thing was certain: Francisco would not falter in his quest. For he knew that the fate of Paris, and perhaps the world itself, hung in the balance, and that only he had the power to tip the scales in favor of the light. And so, with a firm resolve and a steady hand, he set out into the unknown, his heart filled with hope and determination. For though the shadows may linger, they could never extinguish the light of truth that burned within his heart. And with that guiding light to lead him, Francisco knew that he would emerge victorious in the end.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below.